I'm back with author Harry Crocker, H.W. Crocker III, the book, Triumph, the Power and Glory of the Catholic Church, a 2,000-year history. Harry, we're going to, for reasons of time, have to accelerate to the present. What do you make of the current Pope Francis? I say this because it seems to me like the church has so many problems. It's, of course, had so many recent scandals. And then you had a couple of impressive popes, John Paul II and Benedict, who seemed to be trying to get the house, if you will, in order. And then Benedict retires and you get this very peculiar fellow, Francis. And I don't really know how to describe him. I guess if I had to describe him, I would say that instead of being the church's missionary to the world, he seems to be the world's missionary to the church.
Well, that's exactly right. Yes. No, I mean, I think Pope John Paul II was great. Pope Benedict, great. But as I say in the book, in football terms, he should have taken one for the team. Right. He should not have resigned. He should not have retired. Delegate lots of authority. You're old, I understand. You want to be a scholar. You boys want to be a scholar. But he should have seen out his term. And Pope Francis, we can give all sorts of benefits of the doubt. But even if you do, it's hard not to come to certain conclusions. One is that he is following a model which is a proven failure. And that model is to try to, more or less what you said, bring the world into the church. If you have a lot of people falling away from Christianity, how do you get them back? Well, his argument seems to be, we try to become more like them, right? And that's not how it works. And we've seen that over and over again. We've seen that with mainline Protestant churches that have collapsed. We've seen it in the Catholic Church after Vatican II. And in fact, we know what works. And what works, especially in a time of chaos like now, when people are going around, the world's going crazy. Where can I find sanity? Well, if you're that beacon of light, if you're the one institution that says, hey, guess what? A man is a man and a woman is a woman. And it says that in Genesis, and here are the consequences of that, and just teaches the truth. That's all the Catholic Church is meant to do. The Catholic Church is by this definition, the most conservative institution in the world, because its sole purpose is to defend, guard the deposit of faith, not change it, defend and guard it, and promote it, proclaim it. And that's what Francis should be doing. And he's under this misapprehension, I think, that if he does that too strongly, he's being judgmental and people won't come to the church. But I think that's just absolutely wrong. And the other thing was just in his management of the church. He's a man who talks about, delegating authority and all. And then there's a famous author in recent years who wrote a book called The Dictator Pope. And he, with his punishment of those who disagree with him, which, certain amounts of disagreement is allowed under the Catholic faith. You can't disagree about matters of dogma, but you can certainly disagree about other judgmental things. He's very harsh on those people. And the analysis is that he grew up in Perón's Argentina, where ideology was not so important, but obedience to Peronism was. And he's kind of a Peronist pope. And I think that analysis of his personality is true. He's a very confusing figure because he will walk up to the line of contradicting church teaching, but then kind of pull back at the last second.
Well, I mean, isn't he in ecclesiastical and theological terms doing sort of what the left does in political terms, which is the left is very accommodating towards extremism kind of on its own side. Look, for example, at this debate now going on about, what people can say on campus. So if somebody were to say, for example, kill all the Muslims or, kill all the gays. Oh my gosh, this guy has to be deported from campus, expelled immediately, violation of the guidelines and so on. But if somebody says kill all the Jews, then it's like, well, you didn't actually do it, did you? You just said it, didn't you? So context is important. And if your words are unaccompanied by action, well, it's okay. So in a sense, isn't Francis, by analogy, very tolerant toward the trans activists, and yeah, you're cohabiting, but we're going to marry you. But on the other hand, if there's a conservative bishop who says, I don't like the administration of the church, okay, well, you're going to be demoted. You're going to be removed.
Right. No, I think there's some merit in that in a slightly different way. I'm not convinced he's actually ideologically on the left side. He just recognizes that if he takes those positions, he's popular. The press loves him, and those are his allies within the church. He recognizes that too. So I think it's less ideological than it is personal. If you cross him personally, you're in trouble. But I think this also explains why, at the end of the day, he will seemingly give a very wide latitude to all sorts of heterodox opinions. But at the last moment, he will pull back. Like recently, he was warning the church in Germany, which has become very liberal. And they, I think, thought they were operating under his blessing. And he said, wait a second, you guys are moving to the edge of, getting in big trouble here. You can't do that. And I think that's why he also kind of, I think, sometimes whiplashes the left, the liberals who think, I thought you were with us on this. And he only is up to the point where he thinks they're getting their praise, but he's not yet anyways willing to cross that line where he'd actually be violating the faith.
Very interesting stuff, Harry. Thanks for joining me. This was really great. The book is Triumph, the Power and the Glory of the Catholic Church, a 2,000-year history. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Dinesh.
Debbie and I had a New Year's resolution to lose weight, and thankfully, PhD weight loss came to the rescue. You can see the result if you're watching the podcast. Debbie's lost 24 pounds. I've lost 27. We're now both on maintenance. The program is based on science and nutrition. No injections, no pills, no long hours in the gym, no severe calorie restriction. Just good, sound, scientifically proven nutrition. It's so simple. They make it easy by providing 80% of your food at no additional cost. They tell you when and what to eat. And guess what? You can do this without ever being hungry. The founder, Dr. Ashley Lucas, has her PhD in chronic disease and sports nutrition. She's also a registered dietitian. She helps people lose weight and, most important, maintain that weight loss for life. So if you're ready to take the step of losing weight and keeping it off like Debbie and I have, call PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition. Here's the number, 864-644-1900. You can also find them online at myphdweightloss.com. The number again to call, 864-644-1900.